I would have to say my leadership philosophy is rooted in servant leadership and transformational leadership as described by Kouzes and Posner's in the book The Leadership Challenge. They emphasize some key principles that I strive to live out every day. I believe leadership is about building up others and guiding them towards a shared vision and creating an environment where people are empowered to grow and perform at their best. I try to lead by example with integrity and a willingness to listen. I want to be the kind of leader who doesn't just tell people what to do, but equips them to do it better than I ever could. For example, during a particular intense moment in the NICU last winter, we had a newer RT on the team who was still gaining the confidence with ventilator setups and settings, and rather than just stepping in and doing it myself, I coached him through the process, step by step, while still ensuring patient safety. And I made sure that he understood the why behind every move that we were making and the vent settings that we were applying to the baby's condition and how we could adapt if things went wrong. Afterwards, I debriefed with him and answered any more questions that he had, and he seemed to understand the concept. And afterwards, a few weeks later, he had a similar situation happen, but this time he handled it with confidence and with precision. And that moment for me really showed that leadership isn't about being the best technician in the room, but it's about raising up others so that they feel capable, trusted, and supported. Great question. The key qualities I believe I bring to positively impact the organization are collaboration and a growth mindset. In my role as a respiratory therapist, especially during neonatal transports, I have had to coordinate and communicate with different teams under different pressures. And I've learned how to lead when necessary and follow when appropriate, and all of that while always communicating very clearly and collaborating with each other in order to get them to move the goal forward. Kouzes and Posner's mentions that trust is the first step towards collaboration, and as a leader and as leaders and managers, we need to be the first to extend that hand of trust. I also bring a growth mindset. In my personal and professional life, I don't view mistakes as failures, but always as opportunities to grow. And the only real mistake in our lives that we make are the ones that we don't learn from. So I'm thankful for the mentors in my life who have taught me to view a growth in this way, and I strive to bring that everywhere that I go. Although I have never hired anyone or been on the other side of these interviews, I know what I would be looking for. And while I do want the person to have the skills required for the job, that is often secondary in my mind. I know that I can always train skills, but I cannot train character. And so I would try to ask and seek opportunities to evaluate their attitude in the workplace and character within the workplace. For instance, I might ask questions like, tell me about a time when you received feedback that you didn't agree with, and how did you respond? And their answer can tell me a lot about their self-awareness and their ability to grow. Because I want my team to grow with this person who is coming on, I'd like to find out how they fit in with this team and their interpersonal skills as well. So I would be asking questions along those lines. That's definitely one of the most difficult parts of leadership, and personally I don't have experience with firing employees, but my approach is to ensure fairness, make sure that we have clear documentation, and above all, respect for the individuals that are involved. I would follow the progressive discipline process of this organization, first to make sure that all the expectations are clearly communicated from me as the leader or from anybody else, and that those communications are documented. And if issues arise, I'd promptly and timely provide constructive feedback and offer coaching and training and support when needed. And if there's still no changes, then that's when I would get HR involved and follow the proper protocols. And when termination becomes necessary, I'd conduct that conversation privately and focus on just the objective facts, try to avoid blame, and I try to preserve the person's dignity even with a tough outcome like that. The best motivation a team can receive is through constant recognition and growth opportunities available within the organization. Throughout my day, I always try to connect what we are doing and the tasks that we're doing on the daily to the positive outcomes that we see in our patients. And as a supervisor, I'd really like to continue this. Kouzes and Posner's mentions that when a leader takes the time to recognize and appreciate their team the way that that team member likes to be appreciated, that it builds up the team and it motivates them to perform and take on more than they currently are. This leads to the next motivational plan for the team, which is personal and professional growth. In order to have a solid functioning team, growth is necessary. And this is accomplished by the leader first extending this hand of trust to the team, as Kouzes and Posner's mentions, and allowing them to have some level of autonomy within their workplace. This allows them to feel that they're contributing positively to the organization, they're building themselves up and their careers, and they're not just working the job and doing the tasks that we give them. Another aspect of motivating a team is clearly communicating the vision and the goal that the team is trying to achieve. A study by Jin and colleagues found that when a leader clearly articulates the goal for their team and shares that as often as they can with the team, that that particular team has a higher chance of achieving that goal. And so that would be one of the things that I would bring to this role. Of course, one of my biggest challenges is that sometimes I take on too much onto myself. I've historically had a hard time delegating, and I really just feel responsible for the outcome. So when I do feel responsible for the outcome, I tend to just take it on myself instead of delegating. But I've learned that holding on too tightly to different tasks and missions limits both myself and my growth as well as my team's. And so this also puts a lot of strain on the team and leader dynamic, and it would hinder a lot of communication moving forward, and it sends a message of distrust to the team, one that I do not want to be sending. And so in order to overcome this, Kouzes and Posner's mentions the importance of enabling others to act, which is one of their 5 core leadership practices. And they explain that leaders must foster collaboration and to build trust by giving people the freedom to make decisions, contribute ideas, and to take ownership of those ideas. And by doing this, it communicates confidence with the team's abilities and creates an environment of mutual respect. So now I intentionally delegate with clarity and check in regularly with the team to provide the support that they need. I also strive to be more transparent with what is going on in my life and on my plate at work. A study by Gunter and colleagues in 2017 found that when leaders are genuine and transparent and grounded in their values, that they foster a sense of trust within their team, and they really build that up within their team. And this trust enables that team to truly start taking ownership of the roles. So that's how I would respond to that. Thank you for having me. Hi, Dr. TJ. Throughout this course, I feel that I've put in a lot of quality time and effort into the assignments that you've given me. A lot of them have come back with very minimal corrections that needed to be made, and if there was something, then it was addressed and fixed in the following assignments. So based on the quality of my work and the effort that I put into learning and applying these concepts, I believe that I've earned an A+ in this course. I feel confident that my performance in this class both reflects that I have understood the material here, not only in the classroom setting, but also I've applied it into my own personal life. So yeah, thank you again for this opportunity and for everything that I've learned in the process.